Hello, everyone. I'm Dani Palacio, and this is a Waking Moment podcast. This week is a spark question, and you know what those are all about. A question that we can ponder, that we can see where we lie on the spectrum of, do I do this? Do I not? How do I do this? Can I do it? Anything that creates an opportunity to rethink something. And so this week is, do you know how to spark a deep conversation? What a question. I pondered that myself before I decided to ask you. Even though this podcast is kind of a one-way, we're not actually in a dialogue, I feel like I need to spark deep conversation, whether I'm with you or not. And if it doesn't have a deep resonance with me, I'm definitely not going to share it with you because that would be going against my own internal truth. So I want to take this opportunity to support you in having opportunities to spark a deep conversation. And there's some things that need to be included. And I'm going to go through them once, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go through them one by one to give you ideas on how to do this. And I'd like to share a quick personal story, which is I was really good at this when I was in my 20s and 30s and I was traveling and I was meeting so many people. My job was intense and there was always an opportunity to get to know someone. And some of the situations were awkward, some of them were boring, but occasionally you'd run across someone and you started to have a conversation. And honestly, when I got into my 40s and I don't know, I just was more interested in my own self-healing. It was hard for me to take the step of to get to know people in a deeper way. And I know that seems, as I say that out loud, it kind of seems sad, but it was necessary. And so wherever you are in your journey, I do think that the COVID pandemic, the shelter in place that we all went through actually impacted our ability to want to deeply connect with others because we didn't really have to. It was all very surface. It was on Zoom. It was through social media, and people are not necessarily their authentic self in those expressions. So when you have the opportunity to be in a room with someone, and I can think of lots of different ways that we do that still: birthdays, weddings, family get-togethers, class reunions. And if you're in the dating world, even though we have all these apps, you still have to get to know someone. And I was never a person that just went out to a bar and met somebody. That's kind of not my personality. But if it is yours, then you're probably pretty good at engaging in a conversation, enough to know if you're interested in someone. So let's start with a few of the things that you absolutely need to spark a deep conversation. First and foremost, you have to have interest. If this person that you're talking to is somewhat interesting to you, then it is worth diving in and creating a deep conversation so that you can really get to know them. If it's just because you're bored or they're the only one there, or you just, I don't know, do it because it's your natural way of getting to know someone or just talking to people, then I want you to think about not doing it. Because here are the list of things that are required, which is be present and engaged, be vulnerable, be authentic, allow and ask for follow-up questions, and create a safe space. And most importantly, be patient. So that's a lot to ask of someone, of yourself and someone else. I want to go back and say, be present and engaged. What does that mean? It means turning your cell phone off or silencing it, or at least putting it away. Cell phones on the table when you're trying to have a deep conversation with someone is just rude. And so put it away, put it down, silence it, and even better, turn it off. And also being present means that you are focused on that individual and the conversation. So if you're in a room where there's a lot of people and there's a lot of things going on, bring your awareness into a more narrow stream of focus. Look at the person. Have eye contact. Ignore what's going on around you. It's okay. It will continue and you will be able to get back into that stream, right? It will widen after you stop, you have the end of the conversation. Be vulnerable and authentic go hand in hand. Here's the thing. You have to be the one to lead in that. The other person may or may not be able to do that or doesn't have the experience to really be vulnerable and authentic. So share something about yourself with the other person. A lot of times we don't share things because, my goodness, it might invoke an emotion, or it might make us look bad because we could be judged by our vulnerability. That's all true. I can't stop that. But if you want to spark a deep conversation, be vulnerable and be authentic. If they say something and you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. Don't shake your head and say, oh, yeah. No. Say, you think that? Really? Could you explain more why, how you got to that thought? And if they say why, say, well, because I don't agree with you. I actually, and then you give them your truth. It's important because every new conversation, every deep conversation potentially could lead to a deeper conversation. And if this person has sparked your interest for friendship, for romance, for even business partners, right? You're going to be in a relationship at some level with this person for a while. So be authentic. You got to ask follow-up questions. I'm not actually very good at that anymore, but I have learned that when you actually listen to someone and they're telling you something, ask for more. Follow up with, well, how did you get to that? Or can you tell me more about something? You want to ask an open-ended question, not a yes or no. So instead of saying, did you go to this school? Yes or no answer, right? Ask, where did you go to school? Where did you go to college? Why did you pick that school? What was important for you at that time? Would you pick that school again? And these are just examples. Ask follow-up questions. And by the way, this list also goes towards them. So if they're not being present, if they're not being vulnerable, if they're not asking follow-up questions, your time and energy are being wasted. So you could be super bold and authentic and vulnerable and say, I seem to feel like you're not that interested. Like you don't really want to talk to me. And the person will probably be shocked and horrified. And they can say, why would you think that? And then you can come back to this list. Say, well, your phone's still out. You're looking at your text message. You haven't shared anything that's really deep or vulnerable. I don't really know what you think or how you feel about whatever it is that you were talking about. So again, it's a two-way street, but right now we're talking about you. Create a safe space. All of the things I mentioned, being present, being engaged, being vulnerable, being authentic, asking follow-up questions, that creates the safe container because it's you creating the container for yourself, which invites them into the container. So hopefully they have some level of awareness and can respond appropriately and also create a safe space for you. And with all conversations and getting to know people in general, you have to be patient. It may require you to really fish it out of them, yank it out of them. And maybe once or twice is worth it, but if you're constantly working over too hard to get to know someone, to spark that deep conversation, just admit to yourself that you and that other person are not in the same lane. You are not sharing the same frequency. You are on different levels of communication, different levels of awareness, different levels of desire to know someone. And be grateful that you found out fairly soon so that you can just let it go and move on to the next person. I want to challenge you to spark a deep conversation with someone. Maybe it's someone you know, maybe it's your child, maybe it's someone you don't know that you met and you found some interest somehow and you want to know more. I hope you do it. I'd love to hear how you do it. And I look forward to any information you want to share with me because I am willing to have a deep conversation with you. You could ask my friends that I've had for forever and they will say, yeah, Dani doesn't know how to not have a deep conversation. And it's true. I don't do well with surface conversations like, how are you? How's the weather? What have you been doing? I want to know that, but I want to know more. And so there you go. I have outed myself. I'm a deep conversations person. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your week and take care. Thank you.